Hey there everybody, Robert Taylor with Wonderscape Creations doing another ACFU video for the weapons and combat and things like that. Um, so, in the last one we went over the weapon data. In this one we're going to go over the weapon actor so that we can have everything set up exactly how we need to. The one thing I need to make sure that you pay close attention to is um, obviously if your weapon has an animation, you can set that up right in here. I'm thinking in mind, I've got an asset where the shield has some eyes that are moving around and looking, along with mandibles and whatnot that are twitching. So this is where I would set that up. That way the shield looks like it's alive. Anyways, now that we're done with that, we leave this empty. Zero reason to touch it. And the reason we have zero reason to touch it is because we set that right here. So when we go ahead and start and hit play, ACFU is going to take this weapon mesh and put it into the actor for us. So we don't even need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about anything really, except for the collision component. This is the collision manager. This is how ACFU collects damage events and all that kind of stuff. So first things first, we're going to hit always show debug info. Debug active color, I'm just going to change to red. Okay. And the reason I'm doing this is to show you what happens if if you miss a certain step. So the next thing is right here. If we take a look at all this stuff, we can have a trail length. I think this is how far it trails back between, the each frame check that it does for the damage, how large the radius is. And then you can choose the attack sound, the particles, and this is for the old Cascade, and then obviously Niagara. Now for start socket and end socket, we're going to keep them the same. There's no reason to change. Cross frame accuracy is important because it doesn't check every single time that it goes through. That the weapon is moving. So it's not checking every frame. So what this is going to do is if you swing at something and the system checks and it sees that between these two checks there is a body, then do the damage to that body, if that makes any sense. This too is extremely important. If this is not set to the proper damage type, by proper I mean properly set up damage type, then you will not do any damage whatsoever. So if we come down here, I believe the one I'm currently using is, yes, the cut. So if I just search for cut, then we've got that going for us. This is set to 0. If we want a gameplay effect to go along with it, it's there. And for swipe, again, this was me following what the main weapon has, what the sword weapon has. So I'm just going to go for cut. Eventually, I'll be changing this to pierce because it's a spear. But for now, excuse me. But for now, this works. Obviously, if you want to have multiple different types, you can. And then you can even specify it in the animations which type each one of the swings does. And as an example, because spear is a perfect one, you have your forward jabbing animations, which that is obviously piercing damage. But for spears, you also have the swinging left and right, which technically speaking isn't piercing damage. It could be cut, it could be blunt, it could be both. It's really up to you. At that point, you would just create another one and set it up how you want. 100% your choice. Eventually, my team and I will be going into that type of complexity. Just right now, as we're rebuilding everything up from moving from Narrative Pro, we're going to be smart about it and take it one step at a time. Make sure everything works at every step. Anyways, we have everything set up identically to my axe. So in theory, everything should work. Well, my radius is 15 for my axe, but a spear doesn't need it. Compile and save. We now need to go to our character. So here I am. This is my character. She is naked at the moment, but that's because her armor gets equipped on play. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go to our equipment and inventory component. And we're going to come down here because right now I'm just testing weapons. I'm going to add it. Primitive spear. I just want one. I have it set to the very first thing and auto equip so that it automatically equips my spear. Now, there's one more thing you need to do, especially if you're making your own weapon type and it's not one that's where the tags and everything haven't been set by Pask. Allowed weapon types. You need to come in here and make sure that you have the appropriate tag. This is an amazing way to make sure that certain enemies can only use certain weapons. It's also an amazing way for those who are making games where certain classes can only use certain weapons. Really good, really easy for flexibility. Good quality of life thing for those who need it. For those that don't, just make sure you have all of the weapons set. That's what we will be doing. Now, with that done, in theory, the spear should be on our back. That's new. I'll look at that in a second. Oh, play an editor. And there's my spear. And yeah, because the notify for some reason is broken out of nowhere. But that works. So 1 second while I pause this and see what happened. Okay, nothing broke. That was from a Narrative Pro animation notify. So at this very moment, we should be seeing the debug, but we're not. So if you're not seeing it, it means that you didn't set up the sockets. And if you do this and you T-pose, that means you didn't set everything up in the animation blueprint, which we'll be doing in a future episode. For this video, we're going to go ahead and get the weapon registering as it should. So let's go ahead and that's the wrong one. Right here. Go ahead to our spear. We're going to open up our weapon mesh. And we need to set where the scan is at. So spears are a little on the tricky side because, you know, the point damage is only right here. But you may be swinging from left and right, and it could be, you know, all of this. So you really have to pick and choose what the priority is. For me, the priority is doing damage. So I'm just going to cover the whole thing that needs to be covered. So we know the start socket needs to be called start and the end socket needs to be called end. If we keep it all universal, things stay easy. So add socket, name it start. Come on down here. So I don't need it starting way down there. I would start about, right there. Then we will add another one Call this one end. This one, we'll make sure we get it to the very tip. Just like that. Obviously, if you want to, you can move it over to that tip. I'm just going to keep it perfectly straight. Really doesn't matter because that tip will be making it in the capsule. So let's go ahead and hit save. Now when we hit play, look at that. The debug shows that it is indeed working. So now we can turn that off. We're going to come back into our sphere. Show debug info. We're going to put to don't show debug info. Compile and save. And that is everything for this specific episode. So in the next one, we will go ahead and get the animation blueprint set up and working as it should. That way, when we pull the weapon off our back, we don't T-pose. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.